Hello everyone, this is Michaela again from Faith and Fun, and today we're going to talk a little bit about silhouettes. So silhouettes are great, create a very precise shape, black shape, and you can choose any shape you want. There's a few rules for that, however. So if you go online and just Google silhouette, you'll have plenty of examples, and I've printed a few for you today, so things like that. And also, if you have just a shape you would like to turn into silhouette, the important thing is to remember that the details that define the silhouette are mostly on the outer area of the silhouette. So all the details that are really important and define the silhouette must be on the outside. For example, if we have a frontal person stands like this, we'll lose all the details that we'll have if it's going to be a profile of the same person. So keep that in mind, but the easiest way is just Google silhouettes and get ready silhouettes just for print. Another thing to remember is, I'll show you two examples of silhouettes. One is this one, and the other is this one. And one of them is really easy to create, and the other is more tricky. Can you guess which one? So this one is actually more easy to create, even though it has more details on the contour here, because it doesn't have islands. And by islands, I mean those inner areas that you have to somehow connect, or you lose those details. That means it needs a bridge for the white space around, otherwise you lose it. If you start cutting around, it doesn't have a bridge to the border over here. So a good example of a silhouette that actually overcome the bridge problem is, I have two islands here with this little girl silhouette that I've prepared, and I just left a little bit of a bridge over the actual silhouette itself. That means I can paint over it later, but this is really important to define for the definition of this shape. So once you've chosen your silhouette, very gently with preferably small scissor, create your silhouette like this. So you'll have a stencil. You can have two kinds of stencil. One is just for one use, and this is a good example of it, just plain A4 paper. The other is just use a plastic sheet, and then use a Stanley knife to create the silhouettes, and then you can use it again and again. But I recommend to start with a very basic and just A4 plain paper to do. So once you have your silhouette ready, I'll position it on the paper or the canvas that I wish to transfer it to, and then with a tape, I just put it in place. It's important to put it really well on the surface so it won't move in the process, and that will guarantee a good result. Okay, once we have that, I can actually add a little bit of tape here on the islands just to get them to stay in place. And the next step is to use a scruffy brush or a white brush. I'll show you an example. So an old brush can do, and this one is a good one, and you can actually with scissors just shorten it a little bit, because we're going to use it dabbing and not brushing like this. So short scruffy brush will do perfectly, and I'll cut this one to work better. So once we have the brush, silhouettes usually black paint, but you can use any dark color. If you have a very, very dark background, you can reverse and use white on top of the black and create kind of a white shape. So once I have everything ready in place, I'm loading some black on the brush and very, very gently starting to dab around the paper, just on the borders, like this. Okay, once we've covered all the lines just that defines the silhouette, I can take the silhouette off very, very gently. And the two eyelets as well. And now I can continue to paint inside, and where I put some tape in to keep the eyelets in place, I'm adding a little bit of paint as well. There you have it, perfect shape, and please try this at home. Really fun, you get such a lovely result with that, really easy to make, and good luck.